The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, hi everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Fingers
Yes.
crossed. Yes, are you there? I didn't hear you
Yes.
before, John, so you threw me a little. Yes, so welcome to the weekly Noyantis user group meeting. Today is the 3rd of September. I believe it's a public holiday over in the US, so for our US attendees, thank you for joining us. As always, any questions or queries, issues, ideas, feel free to raise your hand. We'll get the mics open and we'll discuss them accordingly. I know we've got a question. We've got one of our old attendees here with us today, Dave Bratovich. So I'll just quickly open and say hello to Dave. For those of you who don't know, Dave used to attend all of the Saturday webinars. He's been a great support to Noyantis, but since we moved to Monday, unfortunately, he's never able to attend. So that's a bit of a shame.
Mondays are a makeup day. The only time you really catch governments, local governments, tax authorities, because they take Fridays. They seem to shut down early, so
Right.
we have a lot of makeup, and I come in to work half hour after your webinar starts, so I would catch the very last few minutes at the most.
I'm glad you committed this one. That's really good.
I'm happy to be here.
Cool. There's no template updates to report this week. Plenty going on as always, but no new updates to been released, so nothing to report on that. We do have a couple of questions and points that we not points, but things we've got to discuss regarding the Chillcat and the QuickBooks integration. So I know we've got that as a subject to talk through. So John is with us, and he's one who's actually asked a couple of questions. And I think he's had not necessarily issues, but queries regarding it. So let's just open John's mic, and we'll play catch up on his progress. So hi, John, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you fine, thanks. How are you guys doing?
Yes, fine, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, doing very well, thanks. Taking advantage of the day off for our U.S. holiday and get some John work done today.
Yes, I know that feeling. Yes. So you've been using our Chillcat example application, the latest one.
Yes. So I updated to the most recent release. I'm sorry, I've forgotten the number.
One
last week, 1.1, 10.1 or
1.10, I think.
1.10. Thank you. Yes. And, so I was just wanting to get my feet wet in the working with the QuickBooks, beginning to think about tying that into one of my business applications, and so I was having some trouble, but I think we've gotten the connectivity trouble resolved. It seems that I wasn't realizing the changes that I was making in the app when I would put in my unlock codes. I was getting an immediate failure to connect, unable to connect to the sandbox, and I'm thinking that the actual issue must have turned out to be that I wasn't rebuilding the code. The code wasn't rebuilding. But until I turned on the debugging,
yes,
and that must have triggered then the full rebuild. So I'm guessing that was just something in my environment I didn't have set correctly to rebuild that code. So I have the connectivity working. So thank you for that, for those pointers on the chat. So my next question is really now around just what would be the typical way of, okay, so if the token has like a 1 hour lifetime, that's in the sandbox. Is that true also in the production environment? I haven't set up a prod yet.
Yep, it is, yeah. But it depends on your implementation in your system. If it's going into, say, a regular desktop application and the user's logged in, then I would suggest maybe having some kind of hidden window or something like that, which would keep the token live for you. If you're going to, I think you've mentioned here, you're going to something about, is it a service, something like that? QuickBooks, the same. No. Okay. Well, basically, what I've done on some other examples is create a little application that runs as a service, and its job is really to keep that token alive. So every, you could do it every 59 minutes or every 55 minutes or something like that, less than the hour, get that to basically refresh the token for you, which is just a one-off call. And I think the dates then go to something like, I think it's 3 months. Let's just quickly try here. So I'm just on the other screen. I've got the OAuth 2 kicking into life. I'll just log it in to QuickBooks. Select one of the sandbox companies, but again, it's the same if you had live. And that's been granted. We've got a connection, and yes, so we're looking 3rd of September today. You're looking just over 3 months, 10 days. So you basically you could. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is 100 days thinking about it, something like that. So you could basically have a service which would just keep that, and the minute it can't, because of reaching its expiry date, then yes, you would have to via your desktop application, given some kind of OAuth 2 screen again to do the official logging in. So that's you've got a couple of options open to you, which you could try. If you had just a regular desktop application which only ever did any communications when you was in the application, then unless they kept that application running overnight, you really would have to log in the first thing every time you logged in, which was more than 1 hour since the last one. So, e.g., every morning or over a weekend, the Monday morning, that kind of thing. So those are the options you've got open to you. You could do a hybrid between the two. So you could have the little service application just sat there, which its job is nothing more than to keep this token live. And when it can no longer do that, because it's gone past, say, the 13th of December, put some kind of flag into your system table that when your application starts up, it knows that it's got to go and reprompt for the OAuth 2 screen. So that would be one implementation. It means 4 times a year you'd have to log in.
Yeah, I like that approach. So we'll take a look at.
I got a question.
When we do timeout.
Oh, we just got a bit of crackle on the microphone. So sorry, when you do the timeout. Hi, John. I think the microphone just dropped out there.
In the meantime, can I ask my question?
Yes, yeah, fire away.
Well, in working with, and it's been a while, but when working with the PayPal prototyping there, the Chillcat,
yep,
I was allowed to store my credentials in, let's just call it a table, data file, whatever, process that without prompting a user, knowing my credentials. I could go access a token,
yes,
and bring the token back, do my work that I needed to do in PayPal. But there's also in the Chillcat example code how you can constantly make sure that your token is refreshed and updated on its own without requiring a login screen. So I was just wondering, does QuickBooks have that feature within the task?
Yeah, well, yes, but only as per the limitations of QuickBooks' own rules, if you will. A bit like PayPal's own rules and Xero and so on.
Right. There's a rule set, but what I'm saying is you don't necessarily have to be prompted to enter your credentials.
Yeah.
They can be kept secret and hidden away, and it just constantly refreshes as you use the service itself.
Yeah, but no, unfortunately, QuickBooks is quite strict. The original token they issue you will have a 1 hour life. Now, we've got some methods in there to refresh, so you can see it's going to expire at 17:07. We refresh, it's going to expire 17:10. But, so that's obviously with 3 minutes ago since we originally connected, which is great. But our original, the expiry, basically you get 2 pair back from QuickBooks when you pass through the OAuth 2 security validation. You get your access token, you get a refresh token. The refresh token has a fixed expiry date. You need that token in order to keep refreshing your access token. So you need the details behind this, and there is an actual token which is passed back. Obviously, it's not on screen for kind of, security and obvious reasons. But basically, there's three parts. You get an access token expiry date, time, and the physical token. You get a refresh token, date, time, and the actual refresh token. The application uses the access token to do its communications and so on, as you would expect, and it makes use of the refresh token to be able to keep refreshing this to keep it current and live. So you can see here we run it again. We've moved on, we're now at 1 minute odd, 1 minute 16, something like that. But the refresh token will never extend from the time that you go through the OAuth 2 validation. That refresh token has a fixed expiry date, and it cannot be extended without basically having to re-authenticate yourself with QuickBooks.
But that re-authentication through QuickBooks does require
OAuth 2. Yeah, they want
OAuth 2 screen popping up.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
PayPal allows you to hide it away.
Yes, but
okay.
No,
I just was wondering because I'm just considering that project down the road, which is not really a big deal because the end user would be doing it at the time that they're transferring their geo account information back and forth. So, yeah, it would require. That's not a big deal, but I was just thinking along the lines that I had not looked at the QuickBooks class, so I wasn't really sure if they had that. I'll just call it the background authorization.
I know you mean. No, I mean the official line. And I've disclosed what we're doing here. The official line with QuickBooks when you go through their validation is when you're in sandbox mode, you can enter your couple of different the ID, the secret, the usual things like that, and then basically what it will want to do then is to pass you on. Let me bring up a screen here. Make sure I'll do it on the other window to make sure there's no secret information, as you would expect. Won't be a second.
I'm gonna take my question off the air because I'm not getting a screen update. I'm getting the original. I'll call it the user group banner. I don't see any screen, so I'm gonna log off and log back in.
Okay.
But go ahead and I don't know if John's back on. If you can work with his deal. I just was wondering because it just seemed like. I just wondered if that was I'll call it a universal background authorization. Was that a universal feature or just up to the service?
No, it's basically it's down to just the way QuickBooks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that answered my question. I was just kind of paralleling it to the PayPal class.
Oh, hang on. Now I've got.
I don't think you need to leave, Dave. I think we're not showing a screen yet.
Yeah,
okay, good. Because I'm sitting there trying to look for something, and it's like I'm not seeing anything.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, the question just came up saying, "Do you want to show your screen?" I presumed we were all live, so evidently we're not. Okay, let me just disconnect, and we'll do that again. So we can see the screen, correct?
Yes, now I can. Thank you.
Brilliant. So we're going to QuickBooks. It's just automatic because I'd previously disconnected. I'm going to come out. I go in, we've got no connection. It's like let's say it's a brand new install, or it's you've never had the connection via your application. We'll do a connection. I've got the screen up on the other monitor here. I'm saying I want to access a particular sandbox company, and we've got our access granted. So now we're live, and that's just given us our expiry time for the access token, which is 1715. We're in British summertime here, so 1715. The refresh token is, give or take, 100 days later of the original connection time. Obviously, it must be UTC that, and that is what will not extend. So we can keep refreshing, and we 1517 to 1551 and refresh 1553 and so on. So we can keep that token alive, the access token alive, if we keep calling it, all the way until the 13th of December. At that point, we're going to need to revalidate. Now, we're in Sandbox. The only difference between Sandbox and production is the the client ID and the secret that you use, and also the redirect URL. Now, John, if you've got, obviously you're going into your QuickBooks. I'm just trying to get into the developers part of QuickBooks here, and I'm struggling, to be honest. Won't be a second, just on the other monitor, and I'm just going to go into QuickBooks API. There we go. I'll make sure I'm not showing any details. Here we go, my applications. Okay, I can rotate the key. That's fine. Fine. Let's bring that into focus. So you will have gone into your developer Intuit account, and you will have got for the sandbox, your ID and your secret, and then you've got various different sandbox companies you can play about with. This section here is important because when you authenticate, so when you go to connect, it pops up the OAuth 2 authentication, and it wants to then pass the actual access, so the access and the refresh tokens along to URL. Okay, now that is one of the built-in ones. That's fine. That's why I've been testing it with Postman, so ignore that. And that even shouldn't be there, so that can go. You can use localhost, and basically the Chillcat library will keep monitoring for localhost on a particular port, grab that response, and hey presto, you are working. That's great. So we could have localhost there with a port of 3017, and you can choose your own port numbers, of course. All that is great, and then you can go off issuing queries, raw SQL queries, or you can use some of our built-in examples to bring down various information. I think one of the questions off one of the on the groups as well was to do with general ledger accounts, or nominal ledger as we call them. So yes, you can query general ledgers and update and change them and insert them, accordingly. So far so good. When you go to use your production, then things change a little, because you can see here that statement, which hasn't highlighted very good, but production URLs must use the HTTPS. So you have to go to a secure website in order to receive the access and refresh tokens. So localhost won't cut it, because there's no such thing as secure localhost from this point of view, at least anyway. So we come to our productions, and you can see here that they're all HTTPS. Again, that was a test one. So what I've done, and you're welcome to use and so on, but you might also want to implement this yourself. What I've done is on the Noyantis website, which, on the secure HTTPS domain of it, we've put a little PHP script. We've just called it OAuth 2, and that does nothing more than redirect the information back to localhost. So yes, QuickBooks are getting their criteria met. They are getting the information forwarded onto a secure URL. That is being bounced back to your machine on the local host, giving you the access. So you would need your own, or you're welcome to bounce it off ours. I've got no problem. You would need something like that. That actual PHP script is nothing more than literally. I'll fire it open and show it you if you wanted to put it on your own websites. Won't be a second. Okay, here's one I prepared earlier, and you can see literally it's just doing a straight redirect to localhost, and I'm forcing it on to port 3017. So if you want to bounce it off our server, you will have to use port 3017. But of course, there'd be nothing stopping you having something like that on your own website and use whatever port you want. And there's various ways of doing redirection, by the way, various ways. So I'm going to. Does that make sense? Are there any questions on that? After me doing that, I'm just going to rotate the secret, because obviously I've just been displaying the secret to everybody. So move that off. What do you know? Microsoft Edge isn't letting me copy the secret. Okay, so any other questions? Can people still hear us?
I can.
Yep. Everyone went quiet there. Even checking my internet connection, make sure we're not not gone down. Okay, so that's just a quick overview. Sorry. One of the things we will be doing, I don't know if anybody's seen in the latest installer. Let me just open up the particular folder so you can see. Example Chilcat. So under the install folder, there's under the install Chilcat example folder, you have one called instructions, and we've got some instructions there on how to create your Google service account if you wanted to, and that's for use with the Google Calendar. So I'm going to create you a step-by-step guide to quickly show this one, although those of you who've got the product would actually already have this anyway. But basically, you see it's step-by-step guides. Show some images here, actually. Yeah, thank you. Walking you through how to get the service account. I'm going to create the same step-by-step guide for the QuickBooks, because it's a question a lot of people do ask. How can I accomplish this? How can I do this? So we'll create the little step-by-step guides with the images to show how you would go about creating your sandbox keys, your developer Intuit application, getting your developer keys, getting your production keys. Okay, and they should help out quite a lot. Okay, so any other questions, queries, ideas?
Can I check the status on when I'll call it the full code signing certificate, all that good stuff, all the interrelated classes are going to be pushed through? I got some prototypes going, but I'm not. What's happening is on the validation side doesn't seem to match up.
Well, hang fire, because we have got, obviously, there's updates on the stuff I'm doing daily, literally daily. Oh, sorry, I have to call my monitor. But Wendy's also doing the classes. So if I have a quick look at what's coming from updates from Wendy, so we've got the XML digital signature certificate vault.
Yeah, and on the XML, standard XML, we need to get together to give you the code on doing the walkthrough, one button walkthrough, and it dumps it into queues. Dumps the whole structure of the.
I'll probably just do a loop with a who what. I use who and what quite a lot with one particular.
Well, we're going by nodes. We're looking through the nodes and extracting it out into two different queues. First queue is the node structure. The second queue is the attribute structure for each node.
Oh, I thought you meant creating the XML. I've got you. Yeah.
No, not creating, from bringing in an incoming XML structure and parsing it into two queue structures.
Yeah.
Then what I was doing was taking that structure and moving it into a flow graph.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yeah, nice. Sorry, I'll just read a message there. Well, Yes, to answer the question on the updates, these are the next set, which are basically waiting quality control and then being signed off and going into the next. So we can see the email class, file access, IMAP, mailman. The rest is hard because there was some missing methods. So the rest has been done. Secure FTP, socket, XML certificate fault, XML digital signature, and the zip. So there's a few there. There's 11 other classes which have all been.
Well, I sent you the cert store, certification store, and I'm trying to think now. There's a couple of the code signing ones I've sent.
CSR, yes, but I think that might have gone live now in there. Let me have a quick look. Base CSR.
The cert store one works really well. I mean, it dumps every certificate you have. It looks fantastic. I'm able to get the code signing. I am able to get all the values, but when it comes to the validation side, it always comes back as failed, even though it matches the examples in the Chillcat. So I'm not sure if it's a class prototyping issue or if it's a Chillcat error, and so I just kind of left it in the water.
I thought I'd done the cert store, to be fair. I'm pretty good.
I also did, yeah, and I sent you that date timestamp one too.
The date time one was already in kind of production. Okay. So yes, but they're released. These are the release ones, so you can see, quite a few of these going down my list here, and yeah, I'm glad.
There's like about six different classes that are linked together to do the certificate code signing.
Yeah, the cert store, cert chain. I think a couple of. Where were the others?
Of course, then you got the string builders and a whole bunch of other stuff all tied in together.
Yeah. Oh, there's one particular task I've just been doing, playing about quite a lot with the Crypt 2, and the requirement was, it's quite an interesting project actually. We needed to get some TPS tables from one site to another, encrypted, but we needed these basically two-way comms, but always being initiated from one party because they were unable to have any static IP or fixed port forwarding, port open rules. So it was an interesting project, and basically we read. And it doesn't matter about the TPS, but it reads the TPS, it dumps it into a JSON structure. Obviously makes use of string build while we're doing all this. Dumps it into a JSON structure built from the design and the content of the TPS. Encrypts it with AES encryption, puts it into the binary data. Then we establish socket connection over to the other location. Do a bit of handshaking, and then get the files across. Then wait for the files, and then on the other side, that JSON is then decrypted, so on and so forth. Then put back into the TPS files over on the other side, and then the reverse logic goes. So the sender becomes the receiver, waits around for the files to come back. It was a nice little project, but the point I was making on that is, none of it would have been able to accomplish it without basically making use of lots of elements of this. So the Chillcat library really is coming into its own. Straight off the top of my head, we've used the binary data class, the JSON object, the string builder, obviously the socket, and the crypt 2. So, and all with ease. So very, very good. If you ever do get a requirement where you need to basically link the two classes together. So let's say, for example, we've got a JSON object, we've built a full JSON, and we're going to put that to a file. So I'm going to emit it out to a string builder object. So I would use, for example, emit SB. That requires the string builder. So all I would do there is I would call my method emit SB, and I would pass it the string builder class dot get object, and that would pass you a string builder object across to it. My string builder then is fully populated with the content of the JSON the JSON content, and I can go off to the string builder class and use the hang on, did I go on the right one? So it's string builder, and go off and use write file, and there we go. It'll write the JSON straight out. So that's just a quick example of using just a couple of the classes hand in hand. So if you ever come across one of the methods which requires one of the other objects, you use that class name dot get object. So e.g. ck string builder dot get object or ck bin data dot get object, and that's all you really need to do to be able to link the two classes together. All sounds complicated, but it's not. It's literally one line. No. Very, very simple.
No, what gets confusing is you start digging into one, and then you realize you're bringing across 4 or 5 more objects, little bits and pieces.
Yeah, no, these classes,
they work, but it's just that you don't realize what you need until you start really getting deep into it.
There is one interesting point I would raise. Actually, it caught me out, and I had to get in touch with Chillcat, and it was basically if we were making use of the string builder, I think I was doing that particular example. I had my JSON built, and I was emitting to string builder. So, and I missed the blatant thing there is appends the JSON to the string builder, and I'd miss the append. So I was wondering, obviously it was reading through several files, and this JSON was growing all the time with content, the previous content, and I didn't realize why. And of course I'd missed that. So there's all of the classes include a common method called clear content. So it's JSON object dot clear content, string builder dot or ck string builder dot clear content, binary data dot clear content. So basically, if you ever, just as let's say belts and braces for want of a better term, but if you ever wanted to just make sure that you're doing things in the right order, always before you use it, just call clear content, and you know that you are then in control of just exactly what's being added. So it's cleared, and I can emit string builder, or it's cleared and I can do update string, that type of thing. So, we are very quiet. We've got, while we're waiting for questions and ideas and so on, Clarion 11 obviously has been shipped to the third parties, at least anyway. So we've got that. Can't really say I've done much testing, I'll be honest. I've got it installed, started to take a look, got my setup correct, and I think I'm out on site tomorrow, but when I get back I'll probably start using the C11 environment, the IDE, as my day-to-day IDE, just to see how it performs and if there's any issues and so on. And I will report back accordingly when we know more. I'll check our templates this week to see how they how they are, and if we can make visual improvements, which is supposed to be one of the better things, then all the better. Okay, anybody got any questions? This is by far one of the quietest ones we've had for quite a long time.
How's status of the hex editor?
That was in progress, but we got one of them. It's nothing to do with the actual the templates, but one of the particular clients has informed me about 10 days ago that they're having a new website built, and they needed a load of data validation in their current database and the data exporting up to their new web provider every so often, so on and so forth, and it all needed to be done by this week. So, they plan the whole project and then don't actually tell me about it until
well, to save you some time.
So that's taken precedence, to be honest, because I don't want to lose a client. But yeah, I'm up against it on that. So basically, i.e. the Clarion 11, I've got it, but I can't really get to it, if you know what I mean.
Well, no, but what I'm going to say is, to save you some time and not prototype the whole class, go through and try entering data into the hex edit and see what happens when you enter things like a string with a leading non-numeric character, then numeric characters. We had some really weird wonkiness in trying to test that thing out. sometimes the strings would go in, sometimes they wouldn't, and getting a value back is not working at all. So instead of prototyping the whole class, try to see if those two things work before. I'm thinking that it's got a serious bug in it, or there's a communication problem between Clarion and the control that we will not get what we're looking for back.
So we're in, let me just take a quick look. So the hex.
Yeah, and the return that's coming back is a variant, but it is just really strange. And it might be something to do with a little Unicode, maybe. So maybe C11 down the road will be our bridge to bring it across. But it's one of those, I'll call it Kojak kind of things where it works in VB and it just black magic. It's not working with Clarion.
Right. So the get data, you're just not able to physically get the data.
What comes back is usually I'm trying to remember now how many characters. And I don't have the application with me. It's on a thumb drive at the office. But it comes back as almost like I don't want to call it almost similar to like a memory address, but it always seems to be the same value. It just gets bigger in size.
Okay.
Starts off with this two identical characters, and then it's a repeating character from that point on.
Well, let's take one quick look while we're waiting.
But the weird side too is on the data entry. Sometimes the data entry will be accepted, and other times it won't. But all the other properties work fine, such as colors and background colors, all that kind of stuff. Fonts, they seem to be accepted properly.
Okay, well, we'll try just doing it the old-fashioned raw mode way. Let's take a look. So I'm just going to create a quick option in here for want of a better one. Okay, so I mean we're just going to do it through the OLE just to see what you're reporting, so to speak.
I'm checking the cloud to see if I have a copy of it out there, and I'm not seeing it.
Okay. Well, this will do for now. We made you mentioned Unicode. We made some really good progress doing the label and the entry and the buttons and the pop-ups and so on. Not the pop-ups, those type of UI controls, making use of the Unicode. And then we actually found there's a bug in Clarion, in Clarion 10, where the OLE container is stripping out the Unicode, even though it's not bringing it back to Clarion. We're saying take the Unicode of one control and set it as Unicode of another control. So it shouldn't, and it's all done straight through OLE syntax, and the OLE container is stripping out the Unicode, which is a bit of a shame. I've reported it to Bob, and he said he's going to see if we can take a look at it in Clarion 10 for me.
You can't really set the properties or something like that.
So, well, we can on the non-Unicode, it works perfect, but when it came to the Unicode, it's just not having it. So, but it's not as though it's going via any kind of container.
Well, I did find out why certain controls, such as the Debenu class, does not show up under the OLE server link. and it's because it does not have a visual aspect to its class. It's more of a library. And because it's not visual, you can't see it, and you can't place it through the standard template that way, through the screen builder.
Right, yes. Yeah,
So I found out how to identify it, but what I haven't done is been able to put it all down in a simple and concise email and send that to Bob and see if they can put it in there and add a little switch to say include, I'll call it class libraries. Because they're not visual, but you're able to access and talk to the code. You just don't see anything.
Yeah, it would be the same with the shortcut.
Right.
A good example. Okay, so you're typing things in here, yeah?
Correct.
And
but if you go on the text side and you're sending text, you sometimes get values and sometimes you don't. It's kind of strange. Doesn't work every time either. It's a little hit and miss. Now what we would be doing is, well, now you're typing directly into the editor there. We were sending a string to update the editor from another field.
Okay, so let's just try that.
So I'm not sure if something there, Clarion's stepping on it. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't messed with this thing in a very long time until Jeff said he needed to use it. So I sent him what I had, and then he was coming back saying it's kind of weird. So we were looking at it together, and yeah, we'd both enter the same value, and sometimes it would work for me and it wouldn't work for him, and then, I don't know, it's just very, very strange.
Okay, so we'll try it the old-fashioned way, but we're just going to enter some, and you just want to try and set it. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, that'll do, and a button. And what are you using for the set?
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't
data.
recall. Yep, there we go.
Okay.
It's the real simple. There's only about 6 or 7 methods in the thing, and about a dozen properties.
Oh, I know. It'll take me longer to create the examples and so on and so forth. It's like I say, it's just purely came down to started it, the template prompt, so on and so forth. Yeah, got the control on the screen, all happy, and then that's as far as I can get to. But I had to divert off onto project work. Okay, set. That's as good as any. Oh, that's good. Annoy me. Right. Up. No, what am I doing?
Set data.
Yeah. When do you have to do a display? Do you have to redisplay?
I don't recall even requiring it, other than just if you want to update all your screen variables. We had a bunch of different controls on there, but
okay. So we're looking along the lines of A, B, C, D.
nice.
Okay.
Now we would take it and just say like put 3 2s down instead of A, B, C, D. And we would do stuff like this, and sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't.
Yeah. No, not.
See?
So I do
Now
that.
you put now do this. Put a letter in front of the 2s.
Okay. So
But now take the 2s out and put like 8 1s or something. Just put a larger number.
yeah. Okay. Got an idea. Oh.
So we were just trying to figure out what was the rules, because there's nothing in the documentation that says that you must do something, even number of characters, anything like that. We were just sitting there saying something's a little crazy with this, because sometimes it would work. We couldn't find really a rhyme or a reason. And we didn't spend a whole lot of time on it, but we just said, let's not mess with it anymore, because you were working on the class. So we thought, but it just thought it was kind of strange. And like I say, there's no warnings or requirements. It looks pretty simple. Like you enter a value, it should show up. And it's not like we're entering characters that are really out of some kind of ASCII range of some sort. I mean, it's pretty standard.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Entry.
It definitely don't like me putting that null in there, which I just started. I've tried.
Yeah, we've changed it to C strings, strings, numbers, variations of all different types of data types. And it's supposed to be just a simple string passed to it. So like I say, I'm just really not sure if this is a Clarion thing or if this is a Kojak bug. I don't know how many people use this. But I didn't want you to invest too much time in it if it's something we can't really control. And it gets even stranger on the results coming back.
Well, that's pretty strange in its own right, to be fair.
Well, we found this after we were testing for the results coming back, because we both had our screens up and we were chatting back and forth, and I said, hey, this one, it's not taking this. Type this in and see if it takes it. You type it in and say, no, it's not taking it. I'd put the same value in, add one more character, it would work. And it's like, something's really just wonky here.
Yeah, it just don't like just numbers only.
But enter a huge number and it might take it. It's just really strange. It was like no guarantee what you did. You just kind of mix and match.
Yeah.
Was going to take it and put it into Visual Studio and try it over there and do the same basic simple data entry and see if it works. And then if it didn't work, then I knew it was a Kojak deal, but I just haven't found time to mess with it.
Okay. Just literally just trying to try to bounce ideas around.
We trade that too.
I'm checking the -1. Okay, set that. Now it's a bit. Think, what's he doing? It's just an idea. So ABCD, I expect it to be ABC. Oh. Kind of expected the max length to be stopping me putting more in there.
Or strangeness. We also tried on using the max length for setting the values on getting the get data coming back, and that didn't seem to help either.
Did he help say much?
No, it's real vanilla.
Oh wow, yeah.
I mean, if you just take it based on all the other controls that we've available, what we're doing should be working without any special massaging or.
Yeah, no, definitely.
See, now what they're allowing to allow you to do is to edit the existing data by setting the max length. How many extra characters can be added? But we've tried setting the max length and then adding values, and it still doesn't quite take it. We still get the same quirkiness of some strings get taken, some don't. We haven't had it where I've entered, like, let's say 10 characters and only 5 have shown up. That doesn't work. It either takes it or it doesn't, no matter what the max length is. So I'm not even sure if the max length property is actually working either. So I just don't know if there's multiple issues from the Kojak side, or is just this something that's just not working with Clarion for God knows what reason. I mean, this doesn't look like rocket science to me.
No, definitely not.
Well, you don't have to spend any more time on this right now. It's been bugging us for a couple of weeks.
It's worth knowing though. On 20. So is the max length? Let's just follow their example. Okay, so we'll do that. Forget that. Really doesn't look. It is setting it. I just wonder, does it need a repaint? Although, not really seeing much by way of a repaint. No, sorry, we're gonna have to speak to them and find out what that is.
And if you really want an exciting time, is check the value what comes back on on the get data. It's just kind of boggling. The first 2 characters are always the same, which made me think it was some type of a memory address. It's coming back as a variant, which normally the string variant, we would put it in a string, not a problem, but this one just acts a little quirky. And the only other addition is that the more data in your editor, the repeating character after the first 2 characters, and I forget now what it is, but it just extends. Let's just say if it's a X22, it just keeps going for about half the size of the length of the string inside the editor. Ballpark.
Oh. Okay, so we'll do our ABCD. And as you say, we'll try that in text.
Basically, it comes back, I forget now, almost like a signature.
Like I say, I think it's a variant.
First 2
yeah, it's a variant. So,
but if you put a larger string in there, you'll get additional repeating characters after the first 2. The first 2 characters are, oh gosh, I'm trying to think of the numbers, but they're basically unprintable, so they come back as question marks.
Yeah.
Unidentifiable. So they're always identical. Now, if you take the value of the return and put it into the control, feed it back to the control, you'll see your value that you're getting. So that's what I ended up doing, is doing 2 hex controls, one to contain my value, and then when the return, I'd feed it back in to see what it was sending.
just have a quick look at their examples, see if there's anything in there. Can't really see anything. Task, Power Manager.
Nothing.
No, they don't even have any for the hex.
And I checked everything in the examples, and they don't use it. So I'm wondering, does anyone ever use this?
Yeah.
And if it wasn't used, did it work?
Definitely a question for them. See what the point of it was.
I just didn't want you to invest in a whole bunch of time in working on the template.
No, thank you.
If these two issues can't be ironed out, or if they have to fix it, fine. But yeah, we ran into this wall.
Okay. Well, it's a very slow day today.
Well, I hate hogging up all your time.
Are you okay? Just trying to see if there's any other news, but no, people. There's no other questions. It is quite a slow day. Is there a chance we might be wrapping up early? That'll be nice. Let you guys get back to your holiday, your day off, and I'll get back to the project. Hey ho. Yep. Okay. I think we're going to look at wrapping it up. For the next 2 Mondays, I'm not sure it is going to be available. I will have to put a notice on the Noyantis group chat, and apologies for that, but I'm over in France, and although the comms should be okay, I don't want to promise it is until I'm over there and tested. So I've got basically a different comm set up. I'm looking at it, it's at the side of me now, but I won't know that until I'm over there. So I don't want to everybody to go and waste the time if I can't physically make it. So I will know at the weekend, and I'll put a message on the Skype chat if that's okay. John, I will also send a message to you as soon as I'm over there and I know we've got good comms or not.
Okay.
Maybe we could do a quick test one just to see, yes, Andy, that's fine. You're coming through great. I'm sure it will be, but I've just been caught out in the past, and the last thing I want to do is waste anyone's time. That's not really fair. Okay, right. Well, thank you, everybody, and until hopefully next week. Until then, thank you very much. Have a good day, and I'll see you all very shortly. Cheers.
Bye.